This report brought to you by the Richmond Club, where investors and high-growth companies meet.
Tim McCutcheon is the president of Wealth Minerals, a company that is looking for lithium in Chile's Atacama Salar, which is also one of the world's leading sources of lithium. Please welcome Tim to the podium.
My name is Tim McCutcheon. I'm the president of Wealth Minerals. We are a TSXV listed company. If there's some key things I can make sure that you understand about wealth and sort of just take with you is we have one of the largest land packages of lithium exploration properties in Chile. Over 70,000 hectares of lithium land packages. That's number one. The other thing is Chile represents a third of global lithium production, and it represents the lowest cost source of lithium in the world today. Our land package is directly adjacent to that source of lithium and to that production. Aside from our core position in the Atacama, we also have properties in other prospective salars. A salar in Spanish is basically a dried salt lake bed, just to basically so you understand what it is. And of course, the key thing, the excitement about lithium is all about the way people use and consume electricity in the world today, and that is rapidly changing. I mean, Tesla is this incredibly expensive, successful company, not necessarily because of the amount of cars they make, because it's not even comparable to GM or Ford. It's the promise that it has of having this massive growth because the world is shifting away from internal combustion engines to lithium-ion battery-powered cars. It's that buzz that is getting everyone excited about lithium. And of course, the raw material side of it is where we are, and we think it's one of the most exciting places to be, and I'll explain that further through the presentation. Briefly about the company, 148 million shares out. We're trading right now at between 25 and 30 cents, so our market cap roughly is about $33 million Canadian. We've done marketing all throughout the world, have a very diverse shareholder base. One of the things interesting about Wealth Minerals from a trading point of view is it actually is a liquid trading company. You can put on and take off a position fairly easily. We trade 200, 300, 400,000 shares a day on a normal day, and on a high volume day, we trade a million shares a day. So from the point of view of portfolio management, you can put on a position and take it off, which is pretty rare in the junior mining space. Obviously, people are the key thing to building any company. Hank Van Alphen is a serial entrepreneur when it comes to doing natural resource projects. Hank was very much involved in Cardero Resources, Corriente Resources, Trevali, and a bunch of other well-known named companies in the junior mining space. And Marcelo Awad is sort of our patron saint, if you will, within Chile. He's the former CEO of Antofagasta, which is one of the world's largest copper mining companies listed in London, multi-billion-dollar company. Prior to being the CEO of Antofagasta, he was executive vice president of Codelco, which is the state copper mining company of Chile, the world's largest producer of copper. This is a fellow who basically walks on water in Chile and basically allows us to punch above our weight in that context. With myself, I've been an investment banker my whole life, and then I've gone over to the junior resource side to basically be in-house investment banking. Another very important person I'd like to point out is Cesar Hill. We poached Cesar Hill from Albemarle. Albemarle right now produces about 70,000 tons of lithium carbonate equivalent in Chile, directly south of our property. And Cesar Hill is one of the world's foremost experts in lithium recovery technologies and how to process lithium. I'll make a side note here that's very, very important. The lithium market, 2 mines represent 75% of global production. There aren't a lot of people in the world that actually know what they're doing in lithium, and it's one of the problems from an investor point of view, a capital markets point of view, is that investors don't really know how to make a comp table because there aren't a lot of comps to make. There aren't a lot of people to actually bring onto your team because it's a handful of people. I'll give you an idea. When you want to have a QP sign off on a report, as required by the rules of TSXV, there are about 5 people in the world who are actual QPs on lithium projects. I mean, you literally have a very small choice of people that you can have that can adequately sign off on stuff. It is a very small market. And that's important to remember because by having someone like Cesar Hill, who was a very high-level, high-ranking employee at Albemarle, one of the world's largest lithium producers, he came to us because he saw the promise of being with a junior company with the growth and the potential for career expansion and making money being associated with wealth and moving forward with us. At the end of the day, the world is changing the way it uses power. Basically, the idea is that one, if utilities can create energy inventory, they can have smaller power generation units because they'll be able to sock away excess energy generation on the side and then tap into it when peak demand hits. In Los Angeles, everyone turns on their air conditioner in summer, and then in the winter they don't have them on. So either you have the old way where you have a power plant that basically produces at that peak drawdown level, or you have something less than that that's cheaper to maintain, cheaper to build, but you're always able to run it all the time at 100% capacity, but you're able to store away the electricity to meet that peak drawdown. Lithium is a key part of that. It basically provides energy inventory, and that's the whole thing about electric cars. It's the same thing. Basically, what you're doing is you're removing the energy generation from a internal combustion engine in a car. You're moving that to a large power plant, and then you have that energy inventory in the car batteries. So that's the key thing, the shift happening in energy today. Our business model is to use the people we have, the know-how we have, to add value by knowing things other people don't know. Anyone can buy a property. The key thing is buying properties because you know things other people don't know. And that's what we do, particularly in a place like Chile, where we have on-the-ground expertise far beyond anyone else in our space. We're also able to put together partnerships because of basically hustling and knowing things in people other people don't know. Our key partners are the state mining company of Chile, INAMI, and Uranium One, which is a subsidiary of Rosatom, one of the world's largest energy companies, is a state nuclear corporation of Russia. So we have two very powerful, very wealthy partners working with us together to bring forward our project. The key thing about lithium that I want to make sure you take away here is that there was a lot of enthusiasm, 2016, 2017, a lot of money wanted to go in a very small pipe. And that drove up valuations very, very high in the sector. 2018 in March, basically, it just came to an end, and then there's been a sell-off ever since then. And our share price has come down a lot, as well as all of our peers. The problem, though, is that the market is not really pricing into the sector, and certainly not pricing into Wealth Minerals, what's actually happening in terms of supply. There is a myth that lithium will be oversupplied in the market. That is simply not true. Right now, the world consumes 300,000 tons of lithium carbonate equivalent a year and produces 300,000 tons a year. Any projection, Canaccord, Haywood, Deutsche Bank, they're all projecting in the next 5 to 6 years, lithium consumption will go from 900,000 tons a year to 1 million tons a year. So a tripling of current supply and consumption. There is no way that is going to happen in the next 5 years in terms of supply. The lead time is not there. And the way I know that, in part, is because of this graph. If you looked at projections back in 2012 about what was going to happen in 2016, that's the chart on the left. And if you look at what actually happened, none of that supply actually came online. Certainly now, with depressed share prices of all of my peer groups, and certainly Wealth Minerals, frankly, the financial ability to bring new supply online is simply not there. So what you're going to see in the next 3 to 5 years is a massive supply crunch. And that's part of the reason why smart companies that are really looking forward and have the patience to do that, like Rosatom, have bought into us because they want to have lithium supply because they know there's going to be a scramble for it. Our project, Atacama, is by far the core project that we have. 46,000 hectares is the core position. We own 100% of it. It is directly adjacent to one of the world's largest lithium operations. And then we have other salars as well throughout Chile, all of which are very attractive, but the core property really is Atacama, and that's what I want to focus on. Key thing here is the Atacama is one of the world's largest salars. It's by far the highest grade salar in production today and in the foreseeable future. If you look at the lower left-hand corner there, you see that the lithium concentration in the Atacama Salar is almost 2,000 parts per million lithium. The next highest grade of lithium in production today is that. We're almost 3 times higher in grade. There is nothing else even close to the grade that is being tapped in the Atacama Salar. And that is why lithium from Atacama is the lowest cost source of lithium in the world. It's because of that. Now, what is a salar? It's basically a depression in the Earth's crust that over many, many millions of years has water come in, float water, spring water come in, and evaporates off and leaves behind a layer of salt. That salt builds up, fills up the basin. That's why you get those, the James Bond movie when they're in the Salar and it's that big, salt bed. That's what it is. So below that is an entire, basically, layer cake of salts going all the way down. What we have up there, we believe, is identical to what they have down here. It's the same basin. The geology isn't old enough for Mother Nature to mix things up. This is 50 million years old. It's basically an eye blink in geological history. So if we go to the next slide, we did an electromagnetic survey line across our property. And what we got was this big pink blob. What is that big pink blob? Basically, salt water conducts electricity really, really well. We all know that. Now, when you take a TEM survey, you're taking electricity and you're zapping it down into ground and you're measuring how fast it bounces back. On an ohm meter, this is basically 0. What that's saying is that there's almost no resistance to electricity going down and popping back up, which means the salt water. If you have salt water in this basin, you have lithium, because that's where it all is. This is over 2 kilometers high. It's over almost 6 kilometers long. This is enough lithium to last forever, essentially, from the point of view of a resource. To give you an idea of the scale, our license package is 8 times the size of Manhattan, almost 4 times as high as the Freedom Tower. It is a big blob of lithium-containing salt water right where we are. Inami, the state mining company of Chile, they are a partner. I think it's pretty clear that having the state mining company as your partner in any country is a good thing. Their key thing there is their ability to basically be our quarterback when it comes to dealing with the government and the regulatory process. Uranium One is one of the world's largest uranium miners, a subsidiary of Rosatom. Uranium One has unique technology to recover lithium. They spent a lot of time and energy in getting into the lithium business. We just signed that deal in October of last year. The key thing there is they provide the technology, and the technology, what that does is allows us to avoid the old technology, which is solar evaporation, basically pumping up brine from underneath the earth, and then you dry it under the sun for 9 months. It's very cheap to do, but you can admit that drying water under the sun in the driest place on the planet is probably not a good idea from the point of view of regulatory and just environmental and whatnot. This uses a special sorbent material, and this sorbent material is able to attract the lithium from the brine and nothing else. The brine without the lithium is pumped back into the salar, keeping that water table nice and high so that you don't have a problem with recoveries in the future. And at the same time, you're able to take that sorbent, scrape off the lithium, and then recycle the sorbent again in the same process over and over again. By using this technology, you get basically 90% lithium recovery. Right now in solar evaporation, the highest they ever get is 50. So it's very, very effective. And we also happen to know that it's very cost effective as well, very competitive. The basic thing here is the lithium space had a big run up because you had a lot of money going into a small pipe. That run up now has deflated. We're now at the bottom of the cycle. If you're into contrarian trends, the lithium space in Wealth Minerals is one of the best plays you can get in this. Very clear that Tesla cars aren't going anywhere. Electric cars are becoming more and more popular and prevalent. They're going to need lithium. And if you look at any supply dynamic, it's not very clear where the lithium's going to come from. Certainly not in a 5-year time frame. It takes years for a mine to get permitted and build, and I don't see how we're going to triple global lithium supply in that time frame. Our partners understood this right away. They've signed on to deals with us, and of course those details are available. But the key thing here is that we have the partners, we have the technology, and we have the asset to be a leader in the lithium space moving forward. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, please let us know. You've been watching the Richmond Club Report. If you've just come across this channel, please feel free to like and subscribe. I'm sure you'll find a lot of interesting and lucrative investment and trading ideas around here. We'll see you again soon on the next video. Cheers, guys. Have an amazing and profitable day.